Hold on tight, this is gonna be a bumpy ride!
Good morning, folks. How are you? It's JJ Stewart here. And it's May. I cannot believe the time has gone by so fast since my last video. As you can see, it is nice and sunny out. Yeah, the snow's gone. So is my car. I bought a new car this year. And yeah, I just can't believe it. I'm like, if I don't put out a video, people are going to start wondering what in the heck happened to me. So, a video that's been on my mind for a while has been about conflict. Conflict in writing. Not just conflict in general, because there's enough conflict in the world, but conflict in writing, and specifically conflict in erotica. Should there be conflict in erotica?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's not really why people read erotica. You know, but conflict is an important part of every story. Should it be in erotica? I don't know. I completely botched that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to start using lines, like writing down what I want to say. Because just winging it, I'm starting to sound like Donald Trump, just getting way off topic here. Okay. Are we rolling? I think we're rolling. Rolling. Hey guys, how are you? So, today I want to talk about conflict in your stories. One of the biggest mistakes of every beginner writer, and this might be you, this might not be you, but this is something, a characteristic of every beginner writer, is the lack of conflict in your story. They might set up a great prose, they might have a great setting, beautiful characters, a great idea, but then once the story starts, nothing really happens. Kind of like my love life. Good intentions, well-meaning, everything like that, but just not enough conflict, not enough tension, not enough something to keep the reader interested in the story. As you know, a story without conflict is just a bunch of random stuff that happens together. But I want to specifically talk about, should you have conflict in erotica? I mean, the purpose of erotica isn't really for intellectual stimulation. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It's not purely, how do I say this? Okay, people who read erotica read it for a slightly different reason than people who read, let's say, thrillers or horror or science fiction. They're looking for an escape into fantasy, perhaps, help imagine something, a fantasy situation that they'd like to be in. And of course, it helps them with stress release, which is the main point of it. So, with that being said, should there be conflict? And before we get into that, answering that question, let's just look at the different types of conflict there are. I found a great website. I will include the link below. That includes 6 types of conflict, and I thought it encapsulates the idea of what I'm trying to say pretty well. There's person against person, which is basically good guy, bad guy. Our hero is fighting the bad guy's against our hero. Darth Vader fights Luke type of thing. There's person against nature. Think about, your classic stranded guy on an island, or Old Man in the Sea by Hemingway. I mean, that's a great example of internal struggle, of conflict between a human and nature. Person against self. This is, of course, someone who would have a lot of internal conflict. You can develop a lot of story ideas here. And then, of course, there's person against society. We can think of To Kill a Mockingbird. Different stories about a person who takes a stand against something and whatnot. So these are the 6. Oh wait, I missed 2. Person against supernatural. So this is, basically a person against a ghost or a monster or some sort of alien encounter. often with vampires and werewolves and girls with funny expressions on their faces, and boys who are half human, half supernatural, who for some reason love these girls. Ugh, barf. And there's person against technology. This is your classic robot invades the world story. One hero stands up against it. So, taking these 6 classic conflict memes, how would this apply to erotica? And should you even have it? I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
To a degree.
Yes.
So some people will say that adding conflict or any kind of tension in a 3,000 to 5,000 word story is too difficult. But I disagree. I think there should be some tension in your story. There should be some conflict. It's not just a story about straight sex. I think it won't be compelling. It won't be realistic if it's just sex for no reason. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me here, but I think an element of every story, should have conflict in it. Something where a character wants something, has a goal to achieve it, and there's something standing in the way of that goal. Now another example, like some examples of this could be an outside force wants to break a couple up. Maybe people that are wanting to get together, there's things in the story that can prevent that, be it a cheating spouse doesn't want to get caught, adds that element of risk to the story. There could be also corrupting forces, say something like you have a virtuous character who's being tempted by the dark side of things, and you have that hesitation, that internal conflict to resist it. Or you could have some lovers stranded on a deserted island and they're fighting against nature, but they still have passionate sex scenes and stuff like that. But it's not just straight up wham bam thank you ma'am. You want to create that fantasy in your reader's mind that helps them become sexually aroused themselves, and just saying out of the blue in a vacuum some guy and some girl just doing it back and forth, there's nothing to it. They need something for their mind to fix on, other than just their looks. So a situation or a scenario. And I think having that conflict, that tension, if you will, or opposing force, is what will make your story come alive. Will be that much better than a person who ignores conflict, because they think there should be no conflict in erotica. It's just dirty writing. Now a lot of this will apply to romantic erotica, because romance and love stories are always about conflict, about two characters finding love and the struggles to do that. So I'm not talking about erotic romance. I'm talking about straight just erotica. Just short stories, 3,000 to 5,000 words, maybe 7,000 to 10,000 word short stories. About some lady who can't pay the plumber or something like that. Being unable to pay creates that situation in the story that opens them up for a good sex scene. Or it could be a coming of age story, where a college student seduces her professor, and that internal conflict of should I, shouldn't I, that forbidden fruit thing. Perhaps a cheating spouse gets caught and is punished by their lovers or their spouse. There's all kinds of things you can add into a story or even use to create a story idea in erotica, using conflict or thinking about conflict when you're plotting. So I would suggest you do that. Look for areas where you can increase the tension, increase the struggle of the character. So remember that even though having conflict and tension in your story is important, don't make it painful conflict. It's, how do I mean? Don't make it like a devastating war story. Don't try to make the reader cry. Don't try to elicit that emotional response that you would, let's say, in a tragedy. Or, anything like that. You don't want that kind of conflict, but you want some tension. You want something, you know, to make it believable. Like, why is the character doing what the character's doing? What are their motivations? Like, why are they doing it? And what are their goals? And what are the things standing in the way of that? And even in a short story, just put a little bit in, but not too much. And I think that will make your writing a lot more interesting, a lot more lively, and, you know, make it stand above the rest of the crowd that are in the genre. So I hope that helps. So always have, you know, some sort of tension or conflict in your story. Look to work it into every scene and every chapter, and use it as a core for your plotting. Even though you're not writing, you know, quote unquote real fiction or a real book or something like that, even just a short story, having that little bit of something there, I think will put your story over the top. So there you go, guys. That's my take on having conflict in erotica. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped. This was informative. And again, I'm sorry that it's been so long since I've done a video, but I've been so busy working and pushing out my next novel. So thanks for watching. Hope I made sense and it wasn't too rambly. Hope you had a good chuckle a couple times. And, you know, just get out there and keep writing. Don't be afraid. You can do it. All right. So I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. See ya.